Today on the newscast, is there a last-ditch effort to avert war between Iran and Israel? Plus, the UN Security Council holds an emergency meeting on Iran. Get all the breaking details next. Hey folks, welcome to the newscast. We begin today with a very important update on those peace talks between Israel and Iran. Now, it was reported yesterday that senior officials from both sides met in Oman over the weekend in an effort to reach some sort of understanding, de-escalate the situation along the Israel-Iran border. But Iranian officials have since said, hey, those reports are not accurate. There were no such peace talks over the weekend, but then this happened yesterday. This is really interesting. The chairman of Iran's Parliamentary Committee on the Middle East and North Africa, Hossein Shariah-Madari, he traveled to Oman yesterday. Now, if you remember a few weeks ago, we had the Omani foreign minister over in Israel, a very rare visit. And now this top Iranian official just returned from Oman, where he met with Omani leaders, and once again called for what he termed serious talks between Iran and Israel. Now, folks, why is this important? Because obviously, no. One, Iran doesn't want war. They're digging themselves into a deeper and deeper hole economically because of those crippling sanctions. And the last thing they want is another front to open up with Israel. So clearly, Iran is looking to and again, this is coming from a top Iranian official who said we need serious talks with Israel. That could be a sign that Tehran is indeed looking to Will Israel go along with that? Remember, Israel has taken a pretty hard line against Iran in recent months, striking Iran and Iranian proxies time and time again. Remember that drone factory that was reportedly housing those Shahed 136 drones that Iran was using to great effect against Israel and Ukraine? That was hit a few weeks ago. Iran vowed revenge, but nothing has happened so far. Now, Israel is saying they will not allow Iran to acquire nuclear weapons. And that's the bottom line. So there may be some sort of understanding reached here that allows Iran to save face and step back from the brink, but not compromise on that key point. Again, it's very early. We don't have all the details. We know that Israel and Iran each have their red lines that neither side can cross. But perhaps an agreement, some sort of interim agreement is being worked out here whereby Iran says we will halt our current plans to build a nuclear reactor in Fordo, which is underground, which would make it very difficult for Israel to target Iran's nuclear facilities. In exchange, Israel says, okay, we will halt our strikes against your nuclear program, at least for now. Again, we don't have all the details. We do know that these talks did take place. We know that this top Iranian official went to Oman and called for Now, speaking of de-escalation, let's bring you up to speed on what happened at the United Nations yesterday. The UN Security Council held an emergency meeting on Iran. Now, this was called by, hold on one second, called by whom? It was requested by China, Russia, and the United Arab Emirates, 3 of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. Now, why is that significant? Because usually these things are called by the United States, or Great Britain, or France, some Western power. And oftentimes, when a resolution comes before the UN Security Council, and it's a vote, the US, Great Britain, and France, they kind of have things their way. Not this time. This was a rare instance in which Russia, China, and the UAE called for this emergency meeting. They circulated a draft resolution. It called for, get this, the member nations of the United Nations to, quote, call on all parties to exercise restraint and avoid any unilateral actions that could escalate tensions and aggravate the situation. In other words, basically calling on Israel to halt its strikes against Iran. Now, the resolution did not specifically mention Israel. It only mentioned the Middle East and called for restraint. But folks, the message was clear. Russia, China, and the UAE siding with Iran here at the United Nations. And this is really significant because number one, you have 3 permanent members of the Security Council siding with Iran. And secondly, this is playing out right as we speak in the Middle East. Tensions at an all-time high, rockets flying back and forth. And now Russia, China, and the UAE are telling Israel, hey, enough is enough. You have to stop these strikes against Iran. The US abstained on this resolution, so did Britain and France. Only Albania, Israel's good friend there, and the United States, I believe, were not co-sponsors of this resolution. Interesting to see how the world is responding. Hey, keep it all in prayer. God's still on the throne. He is in control. He has not finished with the Middle East. We live in perilous times, no doubt. But these are also Bible times, and God still sits on the throne. Hey, thanks so much for joining us here today on the Watchman Newscast. Until tomorrow, God bless you, and remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the newscast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe for new episodes every weekday.